Hey, good afternoon. Maria back with another video. It's 2:17 p.m. It is July 8th. It's Monday afternoon. I am kind of drained. Okay, I tried taking a nap, but I couldn't sleep. So I'm just kind of like this walking zombie, and there's some stuff that's swirling around in my mind as usual. So yeah, I'm in another room. I'm in my living room. If this is the back, the bedroom door. Behind that is the bedroom door. This is the living room. So my couch, pressed against the door here. I'm trying to, find what's comfortable for me because, this house is arranged a little bit wonky. I do like it though. I mean, it's cute. It's got a cute little layout to it. It's just I have two bedroom doors, and sometimes it's a little confusing. But this video is more about some of the experiences that some of their TIs are going through, who might be in sort of entanglement that you didn't really understand or really know how you got involved in it, much like myself. I think, some of the information that was swirling around about me starting in 2008 may have originated from Joel's family, my ex-husband's family. I met Joel back in 2000. I think I came here in 2000, so I met him in 2001, I believe, somewhere around there. I think it was sometime in the autumn, or no, I met him in the summertime, but I didn't actually start seeing him or going out with him until like the autumn. Anyway, I knew that he lived with his mother, and I there's a lot of, there's a lot of stigma about, adults who live with their parents. I know I never thought about it, in a sexual way. That never made any sense to me. I mean, that never even occurred to me. But what did, I remember like my mom would bash guys who lived with their mom after a certain age, and a lot of people do, because they just kind of look at them like losers. Like, can't you take care of yourself? Aren't you? Can't you be financially stable? Are you you can't be responsible? That sort of thing. But I realized, life isn't hard. Life is pretty hard, and so, I never really thought too deeply about it. I just thought, well, we'll go out and whatever. I never really thought about ending up marrying him. That never even occurred to me, but it ended up happening, right? But it never occurred to me that they had some sort of relationship. I just thought he was somebody who he worked, what some people would consider to be a menial job, considering most people who do the kind of profession that he does, they usually are like late teens and maybe their early 20s, and they kind of move on to something else. But some people, he wasn't the first person that I met who didn't have like, a skill or anything like that. So I wasn't being too judgmental. It was somebody I could talk to and whatever. So I didn't think about it. And plus, when I first met his mother, she seemed like she, because I wasn't into reading her that deeply. I just figured, okay, that's his mom, whatever. But she seemed like she was somebody who was really involved in, she was a Christian. That was one of the things she said. And she just seemed like a mom, like, I don't know, she looked like a rosy-cheeked, mom that you might see on TV or something, older lady, whatever. I knew she seemed like she was kind of over worried about stuff all the time. Like, she would call all the time when we were at home and stuff. So I thought, okay, it's a little bit weird, And throughout the years, as I got to know her, which I didn't really know her very well. I mean, I only went to their house like on like, holidays and like on birthdays or whatever. And then after a few years, I stopped going over there completely. I would say that I stopped seeing her like in 2012. It was like, I would go with him on the weekends before that, like before 2012, I would go over to her house with him on the weekends. And then we'd stay for like an hour or so, because she usually wanted him to run errands for her or do like household chores or whatever, and then we would come home. And then I was just like, there was something about her, I felt like it was really draining me. I couldn't quite explain it, I couldn't quite figure it out, but I felt like, I was being kind of drained by her. And so I stopped going, I stopped going over there. And then there were some times where I don't think she was never the kind of person that would like, say she was different than me. She and I saw things differently, and I just kind of accepted it. I never pressed any issues with her to change her mind or anything. I just figured, we're not the same people. We're not, we're not compatible. We're not somebody that really should be, hanging out with each other. That's his mom. I respect that, and just let it go. But I know in 2012, I started getting these feelings like something is wrong. I even remember waking up in the middle of the night and feeling kind of, I know this sounds weird, but kind of psychically attacked by her. And it felt very strange, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Very strange and kind of sick. And her face kind of popped up in my mind. And that was back in 2012. And I didn't think much of it. I just kind of figured, I got so much bullshit going on at work right now. I don't have time to think about it. But now that I think about it, and then I remember her saying something about when I was away, when I was living in the Antelope Valley, how she had to take care of her son, her Joel, right? And I kept thinking, that kind of sounded like it had a sexual connotation to it. But once again, dumb Maria was thinking, oh, I've got so many issues. I'm going through all this stress at work. This bullshit's going on. I don't have time to think about her chatter, her mindless chatter, whatever. But my point in this video is many of these people, other TIs, they're getting involved in families, or some people, it's directly their family, who are basically steamrolling over your life, and it's very difficult to meet honest people these days, okay? Now, I know when I first met my husband, I lied about my racial background. I had no idea I was going to end up marrying him, okay? But what I've learned about who he truly is, to me, is far more mind-blowing. Now, there's people in this community that would probably say, well, we still hate Maria because Maria, she's basically, Maria's a black woman, okay? Okay? How am I supposed to know that you're married to your mom? Okay? I'm sorry, but, how I've always understood that those relationships were taboo. And I actually thought that they were rare. Like, those were like shit that went on over there, like in the Appalachians and, remote places like in Utah or whatever. I don't quite didn't really understand how common those things are, okay? So, and a lot of people probably don't either. They might be introduced to somebody and, get into a relationship with these people, and the next thing you know, these people are somehow manipulating things behind the strings, which I know that Polly has been doing that, okay? She's the kind of person who kind of slips up and says things, and at the time I wasn't paying attention, but now as time goes on, I'm starting to put it all together. But don't just rule out your family, okay? I know some people think, well, it was the employer. I left on bad terms with this employer. This employer was acting crazy and everything. These employers are being controlled by the perps, okay? The reason why you're being singled out all the time is because of the perps. That's why. Okay, it's not necessarily if these people weren't involved, okay, you probably wouldn't be working there in the first place, okay? Because oftentimes they rearrange your jobs, okay? Or if you got that job on your own, you're there at the job in the workplace, and they are making phone calls saying, hey, I'm this particular person's mother-in-law, or I'm her sister, or I'm her person that she used to know from high school. And you'd be surprised how many of these people will participate in this stuff, when really, first of all, companies used to be, well, I mean, I personally thought, okay, and perhaps maybe they've never been, because I've been perked out, harassed in a lot of my jobs because of outside intrusion, okay? But from what I understand, okay, based on what, somebody who is operating a business, that personal phone calls should not be coming in and out throughout the like on the company phone, okay? Now, I know back in the 90s, I was having issues at my workplace because of my family, okay? And cell phones really weren't in use. They were around, okay, but they weren't as common. So I'm sure that there was a lot of communication through like telephone and perhaps even email, because at that time there was email, okay? But still, it's like they don't understand the importance of keeping these sort of intrusions out of the workplace, okay? But the reason why your employer is jumping all over your back, you may have left some dishes in the sink that morning and forgot to wash them or something like that, and then your spouse your roommate, your whoever who's your perp, right? Maybe calling and angry about that and somehow stirring up trouble in your workplace. I'm serious, okay? These people think that they could use people that you work with to try to get you in line, you know? So as I'm thinking about all these things, I'm thinking, okay, so basically, you know, I remember I had mentioned that what they monitor your actions, okay? They use the people at work to monitor your actions, okay? So these people who are acting strangely at work, talking to you and stuff like this, they are reporting it back to your perps. Now they have all kinds of ways of doing it, okay? They're probably doing it through their cell phones, through text messaging. Some of them are doing it through text messaging, emails. I think at one of my jobs, I think I was under direct surveillance, okay? These sort of things, well, they're all illegal, okay, mind you, but still, this is the little tactics that they use. And, you know, when I was at work, you know, I'd mentioned that, you know, I would be eating maybe a cup of yogurt or something, or maybe I bring some fruit or something, which everybody puts in their pack, okay? Everybody puts this stuff in their lunch pack, okay? When you pack a lunch or you pack some snacks for work, you have a little lunch bag, you know, and you try to find items, and you put about 2 or 3 items, maybe 4 sometimes if you're going to be there for a long period of time. You put little items that are going to fit neatly into that bag, okay? Not a 3-course dinner or something like that. You're going to put like items, small items, and most small items are things like, you know, applesauce, yogurt, pieces of fruit, you know, small items. Duh. Okay, this is the common shit that you pack in, but they're looking at everything that you're doing, everything. Okay, if you usually wear pants and you turn up to work wearing a dress, even though you've had that dress for many years, they're going to want to know why you're wearing it. And so in my case, I think that, you know, even they getting your neighbors in on it, you know, it becomes widespread because people live for this kind of bullshit, okay? And in my case, I think like my perps, like Polly and her family or whatever, they try to find reasons to justify why I'm not supposed to have, you know, the career path that I have chosen or whatever, okay? Which really, it's none of their business, okay? They have no right, your family has no right to be involved in your life, okay? If they are a job reference for you, oftentimes these people are working things behind the scenes, okay? They're not telling you up front that they arranged the job. So these people are pulling the strings, manipulating your life, destroying it, okay? And then they have you come over for dinner, spend time with them, and they're grinning in your face. I'm telling you, there's a lot of two-faced people out there, so you got to be very, very careful. But they monitor everything that you do, and they want to read into it. They think it's deeper than that. It's like, she's eating yogurt, that means something. It doesn't mean anything. I think she might have thought, well, because they probably listen to my videos, okay? Well, she's not going to be with Stephen Lyles, okay? So she must be, you know, she's still eating well. I'm sure that, you know, she must be wanting to get back with Joel. No. Okay, trust me, okay? I have no intention of ever getting back together with Joel, okay? And now everything that's coming back to me, I don't want to see that motherfucker ever again, okay? I don't want to see him ever again. But that doesn't mean anything, okay? Everything that you do doesn't have a special meaning. But when you're dealing with people who are sick and people who are obsessed with you, suddenly it does, okay? Nothing I do relates to anybody other than myself, okay? That's just how it is, okay? And that's probably how it is with you too, okay? But they try to read into every single thing that you do. And I was thinking, you know, about, you know, job references and how these people put you in these jobs. And, you know, oftentimes people are going to wonder, like, this is for my TIs. TIs are going to wonder, okay, like, for example, you may have started off, I don't know, you may have started off as a production manager or inspector or something. And now all of a sudden, suddenly after your divorce, you're falling on hard times. You can't quite pick yourself back up. You're struggling all the time, you know. And the reason why is because the job that you had, and so the jobs that you may have had in the past, have been arranged by your family members. Okay, and so your family members somehow believe in their mind, well, I gave her that, so I'm going to take it back. They don't care about the fact that the contract is between you and the employer. They don't care about that it's your labor, and they don't care that they think that it's okay to strip you of everything that you own. This is what goes on in their mind. Narcissistic abuse is serious, okay? And so you obviously, this leaves a lot of people in a very awkward situation. So this is why you see so many people saying, well, I can't get back into my field. It's impossible. It doesn't make sense. How is it that you can't get back into your field? There is no legal reason why, but they put you under surveillance. They monitor your actions so they can, strangely in their mind, their warped little mind, say, well, she's eating yogurt at work, so she's can't, because she's probably going to get back together and be a wife or something. She's probably trying to do that so she can lure him back in. Trust me, no. Okay, it took me a long time to get the hell away from my ex-husband. Okay, it took me a long time, and I don't ever want to see him again. Okay, and I'm doing a serious purge. There's a lot of people I'm purging out of my life because I want from this point on to not have to deal with insincere people, and so that's one of the reasons I wanted to say. That's one of the reasons why. I know I was talking to this lady, and she was trying to convince me, I'm not going to mention her name, but she was trying to convince me that there's nothing unusual about you not being able to find your job. Maybe she was one of the people who was fucking with my job, but she was trying to convince me, you can't convince me of that, okay? You cannot convince me that I'm wrong, because I know how this shit works, okay? She's like, well, my husband had to take a different kind of job because he couldn't get back into what he was doing. That's bullshit. Okay, sometimes that happens, okay? And you might do that for about a year or something like that, but somebody is basically taking shit and trying to erase or refusing to acknowledge the fact that you worked there, okay? Is how they use this, okay? And like I said, this whole thing can get really, really sticky to people who don't understand the law. But when you understand the law, you understand that you have rights, okay? And this is one of the reasons why so many TIs / victims of human trafficking are dealing with their employment issues. Is because of this issue. And it is a form of human trafficking, because it's basically forcing you into jobs where you are, it's forced labor. It's forced labor. It's not the kind of field that you want. It's not the kind of job that you need really to live sufficiently. It's not anything that's going to do, that's really of any value. You're going to work a job that really is not a skill building job. Okay. And it's unfortunate, okay? But a lot of employers get sucked up into this. Now, I know there's a lot of people who don't see the importance of informing employers of this major problem of human trafficking, okay? But it's affecting a lot of people's lives, okay? A lot of people's lives. And it's going to continue to be happening to other people, because employers really don't get involved. They don't want to care about this sort of issue. So many targets were saying, well, I went to HR, because I was getting harassed at work. I went to HR and started talking to them. And and believe me, everybody will tell you, okay? TIs will tell you, HR is in on it, okay? And the reason why they're in on it, because to them, they may not realize that family that's manipulating the strings that they're cooperating with, they may not know everything behind the scenes, okay? Some of these people might think, well, that's her family, even though you hate their guts. That's her family. And the reason why they're kind of like giving her a hard time is because, whatever the reason is, she was eating yogurt at her desk. I mean, she just needs to calm down, okay? But what they don't understand is it turns into the yogurt that you're eating at your desk. It turns into what you're wearing to work at whatever. It starts to lead to all kinds of ridiculous, outlandish speculations, okay? And it can literally end up into a huge mobbing workplace mobbing / community harassment issue. Okay, and so HR doesn't pay any attention to it. And once you've made so many complaints to HR about this issue, because they make it to when you're in a mobbing situation, you cannot. It's not something you can overlook, okay? Because what they're doing is they're forcing you to leave. It becomes uncontrollable. When you do something, you do not get credit for it, okay? Steve Murray basically would never acknowledge the fact that it was me who did all the fucking goddamn work, okay? Including the manager who did the work for his general manager. But all of that gets ignored, okay? So you don't get credit for your work. That's one of the biggest mobbing tactics. You don't get credit for your work, all right? So when HR is going to side with the employer. And also side with these perps, okay? Because they don't see it as a human trafficking issue. They don't see it as a stalking issue. And it is a stalking issue when they're making phone calls and the people at work are communicating with these people and cooperating with these people, telling you when you're leaving for lunch, what you're eating for lunch, what you're wearing to work, what you're doing, what you're saying, all these sort of things. You are assisting a stalker. They are stalking you. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's your blood relations. It doesn't matter if that's your husband's mother. I always considered Polly my husband's mother at the time. Okay, now I'm grossed out that I wouldn't consider him my husband. But somehow I use these little words because I want to somehow disassociate myself from that weirdness. Okay, however you have to define your family or your ex-family or whatever, do it. Okay, whatever brings you peace of mind. But it's these little things but what they don't understand, which human resources and the business company, the owners or whatever, what they fail to acknowledge is they are in the wrong, okay? They will continually point the finger at you saying, you're doing this, you're doing that, and there's nothing wrong with it because if they look around, everybody else is doing the same thing, okay? Like when I was working over at the farmer's place, okay, there was this girl. Her name, I'm not going to mention her name, okay, but she was a girl, and she worked with me, okay. Now, this girl would wear outfits to me that I thought were very cute, okay, but to me, I can't understand why somebody would wear heels to work in that particular office. I can understand you wearing a dress. I can't understand why. To me, I thought sometimes she looked overdressed for that particular trailer. Now, I wore dresses and stuff like that, okay, but they didn't quite look that, whatever. But I figure, she likes that. It makes her feel good. This is what she wants. I'm basing it off of my comfort level, okay? If she feels comfortable wearing that, then she should wear that, right? Okay? So nobody was ever jumping on what she was wearing, okay? Now, I was never dressed half as frilly as this girl, but everybody's pointing the finger at me. Why? Because I have perps. Okay, so they fail to acknowledge the fact that other people are doing certain things that are doing pretty much the same thing, but the only reason why they're jumping on you is because of you, because of this little collaborative operation that they have going with your perps / stalkers. So, I mean, I can just name several examples as to how foolish this sort of stuff is, okay? But you're the target, right? You're the one that everybody's pointing the finger at. When I was working over at Chatsworth, California, I had it was a Friday, kind of one of those laid back Fridays, right? And I wore a skirt to work, okay? And I had just got my nails done, okay? And I get my nails done off and on. Like sometimes I'll get them done and sometimes I won't. I might go half a year and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, my nails are looking pretty ratty. Which I will like to say, by the way, that my nails are getting better, okay? These are my natural nails. They're getting better. I did put not some polish on, this protective coat on it, and that's been helping it because I split my thumbnail one time. And every time it grows back with that split on it. It's very strange. So far, it looks like it hasn't split. So I'm actually quite glad about that. Anyway, back to this. Okay, so I had, women go through their ups and downs. So I came to work one day, right? And I see girls going out to lunch to get their nails done, all this other stuff. So I come into work, and the customer service manager comes up and says, you got a boyfriend or something? Now, if I had a boyfriend, okay, which I didn't, but if I did, I'm not the kind of person that's going to tell my coworkers that. Okay, I don't talk about my personal life unless, of course, I had like one particular person that I felt close enough to, which at that time I didn't. Okay, so I was like, no, but I wasn't saying anybody. I said no, and then she was like, well, you look really nice today. I'm like, well, okay, whatever. And then I remember having a conversation after she said that, because it kind of pissed me off. Okay, it pisses me off because why is it that people think that the only time a woman can do something for herself, for her own enjoyment, is because they have to have a man involved? Now, a lot of people are weak-minded like that. That's the only motivating factor they can have to make any changes in their life. Okay, but I'm not like that, And so they I think my perps are like, well, everything I do, they think, well, she must be doing it for either trying to get to Steven, or she's trying to get back. I wouldn't touch Joel with a 10-foot pole. Okay, I can assure you that. Okay, I wouldn't touch Stephen Lyles either. Okay, all of that stuff is very strange to me. Very strange. Okay, now mind you, I do think Stephen Lyles is a very handsome person, but there's a lot of good-looking people out there in the world. Okay, but that doesn't mean anything. Okay, I am happy the way that I am. I am not sitting here taking care of myself or doing anything that I wouldn't ordinarily do. I don't. Now, when I was with Joel, and Joel ate, he would eat a lot of pizza, stuff like that. And then I got tired of it. It's like, I don't want that food all the time. I don't want it. Because when I'm by myself, I don't eat that shit. I don't. I mean, I'll eat pizza sometime, okay? But he eats stuff like that all the time. He's one of those people who it doesn't seem to affect him. I don't like that. I don't think I should be eating pizza all the time. That should be one of those once in a while things. And now I prefer making my own pizza and putting it together than I actually do, buying store-bought pizza. Kind of goes in line with the thing, I don't want people touching my food. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, after, I would say towards the later, about a year or two before Joel and I officially split up and last time I left him, we started buying separate groceries. Because he doesn't like the foods that I eat. He doesn't like fruit. He doesn't like salad. He doesn't like, rabbit food, I guess some people would call it. He doesn't like it. So, and we never really sat down at a table and ate. Like I said before, in my relationship with my ex-husband, we weren't like a traditional type family or married couple. We both sometimes ate different foods. You know what I mean? It wasn't it didn't function like, we were more like roommates than anything else. So nothing has changed from that, but they still insist, I don't know any men, I don't know anybody, I'm just living my life. But everything that you do is going to be monitored by your perps. Okay, and why in the world, if people thought that I was going to get back together with Joel, I'm sure that Polly was sitting here telling people, oh, she's going to get back together with my son. I wouldn't touch him, okay? Trust me, I wouldn't. That shit's so sick, it's disgusting. But I wouldn't do that. But my thing is, why would other people think that I would? Some people might think that I can't live without a guy. I could live quite well without a guy. I really could. I don't need that. I really don't, So I that's the last thing on my mind. The only thing about that's on my mind is, why in the fuck did this shit happen so I can't go back to work and enjoy what I'm doing during the day? That's the only fucking thing that's going through my mind. From the time I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed, that's what's on my mind. Stephen Lyles is gone, Joel's gone, thank God. And the thing is, I'm fine with that. Once again, the only fucking thing I cared about was moving on with my life. Okay? My mind isn't on that shit at all. Okay? I can assure you it isn't. But somehow these people have this, I don't know, this feeling of self-importance that I think is almost comical. I don't do anything for anyone else. I don't. Unless, of course, I love that person, okay? I don't love these people. I don't love them. I sure as hell don't love Polly. I don't love Joel, and so you have nice, fun times with certain people, okay? Joel and I had some fun times, okay? But he's one of those people whose minds can be manipulated, wear a mask, and have a completely different agenda. So now I realize he's a good actor. I got to hand it to him for that. He's a good actor, but I'm not sentimentally attached to him. All I give a shit about is moving on with my life, forgetting all the trauma, everything that induces the trauma, and just living the rest of my life. And that's all I care about. That's the only fucking thing I care about. And that's the only thing most TIs care about. So I'm just trying to let you understand, you TIs out there, understand the root of it, okay? And why this is becoming so complex. And oftentimes, if you are TI, you're going over to these people's houses when you're feeling down, you're depressed because you can't either find your job, a decent job, you're not happy at your job, you're being stressed at your job, you're being harassed at your job. Okay, and while you're sitting here eating dinner among these people, they know what's really going on in your life, okay? How sick and twisted is that? That is sick, okay? But narcissism is not as uncommon as we believe. It is very common, okay? And you got to think about this. Why would so many other people jump in on something that they deep down inside know is wrong? And the reason why is because people feed on this sort of negative energy. It's sick. It really is. When you think about the numbers of the people who get involved in this, you start to realize we live in a very sick world. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. Running out of breath here. I'm getting tired, you know. But I am going to try to enjoy my day and engage in some arts and crafts here. I'm still working on my little purse, my little handbag here, adding flowers. I've seen other videos that show different, more complex versions or ideas relating to embroidery work. I'm not sure if I'm going to engage in something like that because, like I said, this is a light hobby, okay? But I enjoy it. It's fun, and it looks very colorful, and it's very bright and cheerful, and it's, you know, it's making me happy. Like I said, I'm not an artist. I'm just somebody who likes to create things for my own personal enjoyment. I'm not trying to be an expert at embroidery, but I will say I've seen some embroidery work, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And I was looking at some of the Mexican art. I love Mexican art. I'm going to tell you right now, I love Mexican art. I love their designs. I love their embroidery work. I love their, what do you call it, that Talavera design. They got beautiful clothes. It's colorful. That stuff is so, I don't know, it's just like, looking at it just enhances my life. I swear, it's the most gorgeous shit ever. Anyway, getting off this video. Be back with another one later. Take care. Have a good day.